Barry Allen had never believed in fate. That was until the night a freak accident blurred the lines between his life as the Flash and something unexpected. One moment, he was speeding through the streets of Central City, chasing down a suspect in a robbery. The next, an intense surge of energy from the Speed Force ripped through him, sending him spinning in a dizzying vortex of light. His surroundings distorted, blending into a whirlwind of colors and impossible shapes. In the blink of an eye, he collided with something. A wall, a bolt of lightning, a spider? When he snapped back into reality, his body was racked with an unexpected ache. But that was the least of his concerns. A sudden sharp pain in his wrist made him look down. A small black widow spider clung to him, its fangs pressed against his skin. "Great," Barry muttered. "This can't be good." As the spider bit into his wrist, a surge of energy flooded his system. It wasn't just the Speed Force that thrummed through his veins now. No, it was something else. A strange, gnawing sensation began to crawl up his spine, a feeling he couldn't ignore. Within moments, the world shifted. The once familiar streets of Central City seemed oddly alien to him. His senses sharpened in ways he hadn't experienced before. He could hear the faintest whispers of wind, sense the vibrations of footsteps miles away, and smell the faint scent of coffee from a cafe blocks over. But the worst part? He could feel the tension in the air, the pressure that built up right before something catastrophic happened. It was his spider sense, but it wasn't like his old, familiar feeling of the Speed Force. It was primal, animalistic. Before he could get his bearings, something else took control of his movements. Reflexively, his arm shot forward, and a webbing shot from his wrist. It caught the side of a building and yanked him into the air. "Okay? What just happened?" The rush of adrenaline made Barry's heart race even faster than his usual speed. His mind was spinning, trying to comprehend the collision of these powers. He was the Flash, faster than anyone alive, but now he had the instincts of a spider, too. The question was, what did that even mean? Barry spent the next few days in a haze of experiments. He'd gone from one extreme to the other, moving faster, then light, and then nearly tumbling headfirst into a lamppost when his new spider reflexes made him jerk his webbing too early. His speed kept kicking in when he wasn't ready, making him crash into everything in sight. And then there was the spider sense, which constantly tingled like an itch he couldn't scratch. It never stopped. Not once. His frustration only grew when he tried to fight crime. One night he tried to stop a group of thugs robbing a jewelry store, but his webbing shot off too quickly, binding himself to a light pole instead of the criminals. Another time he accidentally launched himself into the path of a moving truck, narrowly avoiding certain death only by super-speed reflexes, kicking in. Worst of all was his inability to control the primal urges the spider bite had given him. At the most random moments, Barry would experience the overwhelming urge to pounce, just like a spider. At first he thought it was a mental glitch, but it was undeniable. When he was on high alert, sometimes the desire to leap and trap someone became impossible to resist. After a few more disastrous encounters, Barry decided it was time to figure this all out. He gathered the few people he trusted most. The first call went to his longtime ally, Cisco Ramon. The second went to Felicity Smoke, a tech genius and trusted friend. Both were immediately on board, and together they began to map out the bizarre combination of his new powers. Fee the speed. "Force is doing something weird to your cells," Cisco said, eyes glued to his laptop. "But I think it's more than just that. You've somehow connected with this spider bite. The energy from both is messing with your natural state. It's amplifying both your speed and these new instincts." Barry groaned. "Great. I'm a freak show then." "No, it's just a matter of controlling it," Felicity replied. "Once we understand the chemistry, we can help you train. Think of this like a combination of martial arts and parkour. You're going to need a lot of practice to balance your reflexes and your speed." Training began that evening. Barry, with the help of Felicity and Cisco, spent hours trying to harness his newfound abilities. The first hurdle was web slinging at super speed. The webs weren't consistent. Sometimes they snapped too soon, other times they didn't fire at all. He was like a spider caught in its own web. At first it was disastrous. Barry would swing only to be yanked back too quickly, colliding with buildings or tangling himself in his own webbing. But slowly he began to sync his movements. He focused on controlling his speed just enough to work in tandem with his webbing. He practiced launching from rooftop to rooftop, trying to dodge traffic, and even practicing his wall crawling. There were bruises, crashes, and more than a few moments where he regretted all of it. But with every failure, something clicked. 1. Week into his training, a break came. Barry received word from the CCPD about a string of high-tech robberies around the city. The culprits had been stealing cutting-edge technology and weapons, all linked to one corporation, Iron Tech Solutions. Whoever was behind these thefts was preparing for something big, something dangerous. Barry tracked the stolen tech to a hidden underground lair. There he confronted the villain, Anton Varga, an eccentric scientist with a twisted obsession for manipulating nature. He had stolen the advanced technology to amplify the powers of insects, particularly spiders. It seemed harmless at first, but Varga's experiments had gone terribly wrong. He had created giant, super-speed-enhanced arachnids that could crawl through the city faster than Barry ever could. Varga was sitting calmly in his laboratory, watching as the spiders scurried across the walls and ceilings. "You've arrived. At just the right time, Flash. Or should I say, Flash Spider?" Barry gritted his teeth. "This ends tonight, Varga." Before Barry could move, a massive spider the size of a car lunged at him. It was fast, faster than Barry thought possible. But his instincts kicked in, and without thinking, his body moved. He webbed the creature's legs and launched himself toward the ceiling, dodging the beast's venomous fangs by inches. The battle was chaotic as Barry tried to move at super speed while dealing with the unpredictable spider sense. A barrage of webs followed, but with each swing, Barry learned to harness his speed and spider-like reflexes. He was no longer just the Flash. He was something new, faster, stronger, and more agile than he'd ever been before. Each movement was a fluid blend of web-slinging and high-speed combat. In the end, Barry defeated Varga and destroyed his equipment, ending the threat of the enhanced spiders. But the battle had also given him something more: control. The next morning, as he swung through the city, Barry finally felt at peace. The Speed Force and the Spider Bite had fused into something extraordinary, a dynamic, unpredictable power, but one he now knew how to wield. He wasn't just the fastest man alive anymore. He was a blend of the best of both worlds. He didn't need to be perfect. He just needed to adapt. And adapt he had as the sun rose over Central City. Barry Allen, the Flash Spider, grinned. He was ready for whatever came next.